Welcome to DYW Newsscape with your host, Aidan, and today I'm joined by the one, the only, and the magnificent John Archer to talk about his profession of comedy and magic. Hello, and how are you today, John?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, and you? You're good?
I'm very good today. Thank you for asking, and thank you for giving up your time to support developing the young workforce and to help me show young people how to get into your profession and how to cope through lockdown. So, John, what is your profession and how would many people know you?
My profession is I am a comedy magician. That's what I do for a living. And people would know me maybe if they've seen me on Britain's Got Talent or Penn and Taylor Foolers, or maybe they've been to see me live on tour or possibly supporting Tim Vine on tour. So, but there again, I would think there's a huge amount of people out there who don't know me at all. So, hello to them.
And they'll also know you from CBBC.
Oh, of course, Help My Supply Teacher's Magic. Yeah.
Yes. And how was that experience then, John?
Do you know what? That was great fun. We did 3 series of that.
What
3
years
series
was
of
that?
13 episodes, and it was great fun. It was just great fun going into schools and the reaction from the kids. Did you watch it? Because I mean, it was on quite a while. You'll be quite young when it was on, I suppose.
What year was that again? Because I do remember you in it.
Well, it's a good question. It sort of went through till about 2010, I think, from
I
about
would have
2000
been 10. I would have been 10 then, but I do
yeah. So
remember
that's
it.
sort of the age group it was aimed at. So yeah, you might have watched it a bit. Yeah.
Yes, I do remember you. And how was your experience on Britain's Got Talent then?
That was great. It was a little bit scary, but I was tracked really well. They were really nice. I was a bit worried that I was going to get made to look a fool, but I don't think they do that on the show anymore. I think it's improved a little bit. So yeah, I had a great time. It was exciting. I sort of did it really just to challenge myself. I think it's good to do things that scare you a little bit, and and that's why I did it. And I'm happy with the results. I'm happy with that game. I would like to have gone for that. I'd like to have got through to the final.
Yes.
Or even won it. That would have been nice. But yeah, it was a good, fun experience.
And do you still keep in contact with some of those other people that were on the show or the crew or that?
Not really the crew or anything. I don't really get emails from Simon Cowell anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew a few of the other acts who were in the same year as me. Because most of the sort of magic acts, we all know each other really. We all sort of work together now and again, and we're all aware of each other on the circuit, as we call it. So I knew most of the guys who were in it the same time as me. So I'm still in touch with them, and we still chat and meet up at magic conventions and things.
So how did you get into your profession then?
I sort of got into it a little bit by accident. It was a hobby for a long time, and then I was a police officer. So I was a police officer for 10 years. And while I was a police officer, sort of performing comedy and magic was a bit of a hobby. And then I got medically retired from the police force. I went deaf in this year, got a hearing condition. And so I was medically retired from the police force. So suddenly I had this opportunity to go full time as a comedy magician. So I just sort of took the plunge and went and did a few auditions for some agents and shows. And fortunately, because I think I'd had quite a long background of performing, I stepped into work quite quickly. But I think it's different for everybody how they get into it. But that was my journey, really.
And what sparked you to realise that comedy magic was something for you?
Well, I think it was a hobby that I loved doing, and then I started doing a few shows, and I just knew I really enjoyed it. The biggest decision for me was just financially thinking, can I leave, can I leave my job, and can I do this and make a living from it? And once I realized I could do that, then I've never looked back. And I think if there's a saying that if you can find something that you love and get paid for it, then that's the ideal job. Now, not everybody can do that. Not everybody's lucky enough to be able to do what they really love as a job for lots of reasons. But if you can, you never feel like you're working. You sort of, I always feel like I'm just going out and having fun and getting paid for it. Yeah.
How old were you when you first experienced anything related to comedy magic?
What you mean, myself as a performer, or seeing somebody else do it?
You as a performer.
I probably got into it quite late. I really didn't have magic as a hobby till I went to art college when I was 19, 20. So before then, it was just something I quite liked watching on TV and sort of, thought was interesting, but never really got into it. And then I went to art college, and there was a little magic shop across from where I was at college. And I started buying a few silly tricks just to play on my friends. So I think the very first experience was, having a little trick pack of cards or a few coin tricks and showing them to friends. And that was my first experience of doing a performance as such, and realizing that I could do it and I got a buzz out of it.
So how did you make the transition from being in the police to going into your new sector of work, which was comedy magic?
Well, for me, it was quite sudden. I'd realized I was going to be retired from the police and have to do something else. But the transition sort of happened before then, because I'd got a lot of experience. To be a performer, you've got to be reasonably good for people to want to give you money and pay you to do the job. So I was fortunate that all the time I was in the police force, I was going out and doing shows for free, really, just for charities and churches and, anywhere, women's institutes, clubs, anywhere that they needed an entertainer. I would sort of, do a show for them just for pocket money, really. They'd give me some, petrol money for the car or a gift of some sort. And I would do a show just to get the experience. So I had 10 years of doing that and getting more and more experience. So then when I left the police force, it was really just a matter of finding places that I could work. And that is the hardest thing, I think, when you first start in the profession, is, finding people who book you and pay you money for it. Obviously, it didn't matter if I got paid when I was in the police, but suddenly it was my job and I had to be paid. So I did an audition for an agent that booked entertainers for holiday parks. And my very first year, the agent liked what I did, and he got me a load of bookings, about 175 nights at various haven holiday camps around the country.
Oh, wow.
So, and they weren't massively well paid, but that was like my first year. And it was almost like an apprenticeship for me, because even though I knew how to perform, I didn't know all of the other things that go with the job, like, making sure that the lights are correct and the sound is right, and, dealing with the bookers when you arrive, and finding somewhere to stay, and all of the other stuff that sort of is wrapped around the job that nobody ever sees. So I learned all of those things. And also I learned how to deal with a new type of audience. So I mean, when I've been performing for free, the thing is, audiences will normally be very polite and nice when you're doing charities and things like that. But when you're doing a holiday park where, people have paid to have some entertainment, you've got to up your game a little bit. So it taught me how to deal with all types of audiences and deal with, bad gigs and disappointment. So that was a great first year of getting into it, really.
So how would you say you're so well known today then, John?
Well, like I say, I think it, I'm not as well known as, TV stars like Michael McIntyre and people like that. I think I'm known, I'm certainly known amongst magicians, and I think I'm known among maybe fans of magic who want to watch magic. But certainly I never get recognized in the street, or if I do, it's by somebody very much who's who's a fan already or seen me somewhere. But I think the result is really, it's the thing that gets you famous and recognized is television, really. And I've been fortunate enough to do not a lot, but enough that I've been seen a few times. So I mean, the main things, the big things, were obviously Britain's Got Talent. I got seen, that's watched by 10 million viewers. Penn and Teller Foolers had a reasonable size audience, and then Help My Supply Teacher's Magic. There's a lot of people now who, are coming up, who were 8 and 10 years old, who are now getting into their late teens, who saw me, so they're aware of me. So I think television is really a great way of getting known. The other thing is to do lots and lots of big tours, theatre shows, and create an audience like that.
Weren't you not the first UK person to fool Penn and Taylor?
I think I was the first person ever to fool Penn and Taylor, because the American show didn't happen until after the UK one, and I did the pilot special before the actual series started. So yeah, I was the first person on the first pilot of the show that managed to officially fool them, and yeah, that's quite nice. People still talk about that a little bit.
And how was that experience being in front of 2 other well-accomplished magicians?
That was very nerve-wracking, because I don't normally get nervous performing a show, but when you're performing a show in front of magicians, it can be quite nerve-wracking, because you know that you're not going to fool the magicians. Usually our job is not to fool other magicians. Most magicians know how the other magicians do everything. We sort of all know each other's secrets. There isn't much that will fool other magicians. So when you're performing in front of a magician, it's quite nerve-wracking anyway. But then when you're performing in front of a magician or magicians as great as Penn and Teller, it becomes even more nerve-wracking. And then when you're performing in front of magicians like Penn and Teller, and their sole job is to try and guess how you're doing the trick, it's even more nerve-wracking. So it was sort of as bad as it can get from a performing in front of magicians' point of view. I did relax a little bit. If you watch the clip on YouTube of me fooling Penn and Teller, if you watch carefully, you'll notice I don't look at them till about halfway through the routine. I just look over the top of their heads, or I look to the left and the right, because I couldn't bear look in their eye. I just thought, I'll be too nervous. And then once I'd relaxed, I did look at them, and Penn was laughing and enjoying it, and Teller was just staring at my hands very carefully to try and work out what I was doing. So it was an experience, but I'm glad I did it. It was good fun.
How do you pick a trick for a show like that when you're not sure if it's something that's good enough that you think will fool them?
Well, I mean, for me, it was relatively easy, because I could go through all of my tricks and think, well, these are well-known tricks and the methods are well-known. But the trick that I did on Penn and Teller was an envelope trick, which I'd invented myself, and I hadn't lectured it or shown it to many people. I hadn't told many magicians about it. So it was the only trick I had in my arsenal, if you like, that I thought potentially might be able to fool them. I didn't really think it would fool them. And I don't think any of us on the show were that confident we would fool them, but that was really the only trick I had that was different enough and new enough that I thought might stand a chance. So that's why I chose that.
So that the young people see how much of a wizard you are, can you show us a trick?
No. To be honest, Aidan, I don't really do tricks over the camera. All my tricks rely on the audience and people being up on stage with me. So yeah, I would suggest that if they want to know how much of a wizard they are, just go on YouTube, and there's millions of things on there.
So if a young person came up to you, John, and said, "Hello, John, how do I get into your sector of work?" what would you say?
I would say there are lots of ways to do it. You could do it the way I do it, is to get another job where you can have an income, and then do it as a semi-professional, just on the side, until you get to a point where you are so popular and so busy that you can resign from your regular job and go full-time, and that's quite a safe, easy way of doing it. If you wanted to you could just practice until you think you're good enough, and then say, right, I'm going to get myself a website, and I'm going to find an agent, and I'm going to do some shows. The problem with that is you don't really get good until you've performed a lot. So not many people are going to book you when you haven't performed very much. So it's hard to get work that way.
Mm-hmm.
A third way to do it would be to get a job somewhere like a Haven holiday camps or Butlins, Pontins, those type of holiday camps where they have people, entertainment people, like they used to call them red coats and blue coats and things, where you can go along and be part of the entertainment team, and you'll be told what to do, and you might learn a few skills, and you might get the chance to then try out some of your magic in front of an audience in a safe environment where you're getting paid. There's a great place in Spain called it's the House of Illusion in Salou.
Oh.
Do you know that? And it's run by a lovely guy called Rodney Piper. And Rodney takes on people, and every year they're putting big theatre shows and magic shows on. He's got a few sort of places where he does it. And you could go and audition for him. I know he auditions every year for people who want to join the team. And you become part of his entertainment team. And there's lots of great people, people who've appeared on Britain's Got Talent, started off through going to his place in Salou.
Yes.
So and there are other places around the world like that where you could apply to go and start almost as an intern, or and do a little apprenticeship. That's another good way. But it's not like a lot of jobs. It's not like if you want a job in the police, you just apply to be a policeman, or if you want to be a teacher, you go to college, become a teacher. Becoming an entertainer, there are lots of ways into it, and also it's very difficult to make a living at it. You have to be good, and you have to be willing to realize that there are going to be times when you may be out of work and earning no money, which doesn't happen if you become a teacher or a policeman. You get paid your wage and that's it. The safest way is probably the first way, the way I did it, which is to get a job and do it on the side. But the other two routes are probably quicker.
I'm so glad you mentioned about holiday parks, because we've got one just about 10 miles from where we stay, if that, called Silver Sands.
Oh yes, I know Silver Sands. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think I've performed at Silver Sands probably before you were born, probably about 25, 30 years ago. Yeah.
Did you know where Elgin is then?
Yes, yeah, I know Elgin. Yeah, I've performed in Elgin before, I think.
Oh, that's where we're from.
Ah, right, good old Elgin. I've got a lot of good friends up in Scotland. I've got a lot of magic friends up in Scotland, and yeah, I get up there a lot. I've done the Paisley Magic Society and the Society of Scottish Magicians and various conventions. I've been up there a lot. I love Scotland. Yeah.
Well, once lockdown's finished, you should come to. We've got a local town hall that's just been taken over by a community group recently, so it's not owned by the council anymore. The town hall.
Right. Okay.
So
you get them to book. You could be my agent on that one. I'll give you 10%. Get me a booking.
I'll get you a booking then, and they'll love you.
Jolly good. I like the sound of that.
Oh, I'll definitely. The minute that we open, I'll tell them that you're keen to come down, because they would love to have someone.
Yeah, I'd love to come to Elgin, definitely.
Oh, thank you. And with so many sectors closed due to the pandemic, what is the best way for young people to keep building their skills at home?
Well, the good thing about sort of magic certainly is you can practice it anyway. You can unless you're a big illusionist and you need an elephant and a load of big boxes. But yeah, just keep practicing. You could create YouTube videos and put them online, and people will critique you. There's lots of magicians who, not me obviously, because I refuse to do a trick, but there's lots of magicians who are doing shows on Zoom and at various other platforms and performing tricks that way. So there's lots of ways you could do that, and also that you can learn an awful lot just by going online and watching good videos of good performers. And the important thing is to try and watch people who are good performers, not just watch people who are doing magic without any care in the world. So there's lots of things you can do to keep yourself on form.
Is it worrying when you do a trick online that it'll be very obvious, or someone will quickly find out how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is an issue now, and with the internet, most tricks people can Google them and find out how they're done. I try, which is why I don't really do a lot of stuff online. I prefer it to be live me and an audience of real people, and I try and make it not really about the tricks. I try and make the performance about the fun and the laughter and the experience. I want them to be fooled, and I want them to share the wonder. But if it's just about the tricks, then all they'll care about is finding out how the tricks are done afterwards. Whereas if they have a good time, they sort of can forget about the tricks and just think we had a great time with John Archer, which is sort of what I want to achieve. But yeah, it is risky these days. There are many tricks that you can't find out how they're done if you really want to.
How long does it take to learn your shortest and your easiest and your hardest trick that you can do?
That's a good question. I mean, some tricks, I can read them and I can do them straight away. Other tricks have taken me years and years and years, and I'm still trying to perfect them. Sleight of hand things that take a lot of work. Some of them, like I say, I've been doing for years and still don't feel like I've got them as good as they could be. But it's a bit like being a magician is a bit like being a musician playing an instrument. It's you sort of learn a lot of the basics. Like a piano player will learn the scales on a piano, and they'll know how to play all of those. So when a piece of music comes up, they know where the chords and where the notes are, and their fingers know how to get there. And it's the same with magic. You learn, you learn lots of little sleights of hand. You learn how to misdirect. You learn how to look at an audience, raise your voice. All the lots of little tricks and things that we use to fool people. So when you're learning a new trick, a lot of the things you already know how to do because the basics. So as a magician, it's a good idea to learn all the basics, that a lot of the basic handlings of cards and coins and moves and various ways that we do stuff.
If I got a pack of cards, would you be able to teach a small trick?
I wouldn't do it online, no. But yeah, like I said, I don't really want to start doing tricks online particularly. Okay. But also I don't want to teach tricks to people I haven't paid to learn how to do tricks. It's sort of one of the rules of the Magic Circle is we don't give away tricks. And if this goes on YouTube and everybody can see it, then I don't really want to be showing anybody how to do a trick. It's sort of one of the things we promised when we joined the Magic Circle is we won't teach tricks. We'll teach them privately, and we'll teach them in lectures and paid performances. But there's lots of stuff. It's lots of stuff out there. There's lots of books. It's not difficult to learn tricks. There's no shortage of tricks. Tricks are the easy things to find. The skill of being a comedy magician is not about the tricks. The skill is about how you perform them and how you present them. And that's the hardest thing to learn.
Are you working on any new projects that you're allowed to talk about?
Not really. I'm sort of always looking at new tricks and new ideas that I might want to develop. But I've been spending most of this year in lockdown just practicing my ukulele, really, and learning Photoshop and different other things. I've sort of taken a little bit of a break from magic while I can't do it. My thinking is that when I go back, having had a break, it might make me a little bit fresher. To have been away from it, suddenly, I might discover new things in my act that I'd never discovered before because I was just always doing the same thing. So I mean, I've got my own tour which I'll go back to once lockdown eased. I've also got I'm touring again supporting comedian Tim Vine later this year. So I've got those things to look forward to, but nothing else really that I can think of.
The next segment on DYW Newsscape, I am calling questions from Your Soul. They are questions inspired from Disney Pixar's latest release called Soul, and aims to help young people get through lockdown with their family at home while having fun and their friends on Zoom. So, John, can you please tell me, where are you happy just now?
Where am I happy?
Yes.
My happy place? My happy place is in my office, really. I like being in my office. I like, going on the internet and teaching myself stuff about, like I say, Photoshop and playing my ukulele. That's sort of my happy place, is my office. I like coming into my office and just playing with stuff and learning new things, and also catching up with what's going on with all my friends and colleagues in the magic business. I'll go on the Magic Circle chat group and see what's happening, and every Monday night the Magic Circle will have a live streaming event, and I'll go and watch that. So I keep in touch, even though I'm not performing or really doing much magic at the moment. I stay in touch with the magic community, and that all happens in my office, so that's my happy place.
Do you have a really good friend in the magic community then? Who would you say you're closest to in the magic community?
Do you know what? I don't have one. I mean, my best friend is Tim Vine. Really, he's sort of my big pal, but he's not a magician. But then I've got lots of other friends in the magic community who, I wouldn't pick one out and say that's my best friend in the magic world. But yeah, I've got a lot of friends. I think it's important, if you're in the entertainment industry, that you have other people who can give you advice and tell you if you've done something wrong and help you when you're working on something new. So, and I have a group of those all over the world, really. In America, over here in the UK, lots of them, and some of them you don't see for months on end, but you still pick up and carry on the friendship.
Mm-hmm. Could you please tell the viewers out there, what music are you enjoying listening to that you'd recommend to them?
Well, I'm a bit old-fashioned music-wise. I really like blues, rhythm and blues. So I'm a big fan of the old rockabilly and the old blues stuff. So people like B.B. King, Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley. I mean, people that weren't even alive when I was young. People who died before I was even born, I like. So yeah, a lot of that. People like the Stray Cats. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're an old band. They're not really cool. I like listening to lots of stuff. I'm quite eclectic, but if you ask me what was my favorite thing, it would be blues and maybe some country, Johnny Cash, that type of thing. Old-fashioned stuff.
So can I ask you, what are you loving playing on your ukulele just now?
Again, it's sort of it's that same type of music, blues and blues. Yeah, do you want a little look? I've got a ukulele here. This is an electric ukulele. It looks like a guitar, but it's a lot smaller than a guitar. And so So that type of stuff, I'm sort of enjoying playing the old blues and 50s stuff.
Do you sing as well?
I do sing. I'm not a great singer, but yeah, I can hold a tune.
What movies and TV shows are you enjoying just now that you'd recommend to the viewers?
Well, funnily enough, Soul, I watched just a few days ago with my son and my wife. We watched that, absolutely loved it. It's such a good film because it like works for every age group. It's not really a kid's film. So I really enjoyed that. We are also working our way through an Amazon Prime series called This Is Us, which there are about, I think, 6 seasons of it. And we're just, and they're long. They have about 18 episodes in each season. So we're just towards the end of season 2 at the moment. But yeah, every night we try and watch an episode or 2 of that. So that's the thing, really. I haven't really watched any new movies for a while. I was looking forward to the new Superwoman movie, but everybody seems to be saying that it's rubbish. So I don't know whether to watch it or not. Maybe I will.
So, who inspires you to do your job?
Probably people that the viewers out there wouldn't have heard of. So, people who I admire are, there's an American magician called David Williamson. I'm really inspired by him. And another American magician called Matt King. An American magician called Stephen Bagazzi. I used to love watching Paul Daniels and Wayne Dobson, when they were working on TV. And then comedians as well. I love watching, a lot of the comedians as well, because they inspire me. Even though I wouldn't class myself as a pure comedian, I do like comedy as well. So, I love Eddie Izzard. I used to love Billy Connolly and all his stuff. Those are the type of people, really. But sometimes I'll be surprised. I'll be watching something and suddenly somebody will come on I've never heard of, and I'll feel inspired by them, by what they do.
So do you feel like you have done so well today because you're so different to some other acts?
I think originality and being different is a huge uh, benefit if you want to be successful, because people who book acts and agents and television people, they've seen everybody, they've seen all the acts, and if you're doing something that everybody else does, you don't stand out. Whereas if you might be doing the same tricks, but if you're doing them in a different way with your own spin and your own style, then you're going to stand out. So I think originality and trying to do your own thing is massively important, really.
Apart from a wizard, magic, inspiring, courageous, how would people describe you?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'd be happy if people just describe me as entertaining, as fun. That's what I want to do. I just want to make people happy, really. So if people say he's a funny guy, I'm happy with that.
You've done that here.
Yeah, good. I'm pleased to hear it. I'm not. When I die, I'm not worried if people remember me forever. So long as while I'm alive, I can see people laughing and I can see people being happy. Then I'll feel like I've done my job.
What would you consider to be your greatest achievement?
Uh, I don't know. In the business, I mean, I could be all schmaltzy and say it's my kids, but and that's true. But in the business, I suppose is what you mean, and that's hard to say because fooling Penn and Taylor and doing well on Britain's Got Talent were great, but there's lots of people who've done that. There's a few things I've won that have made me proud. I won the Magic Circle Stage Producer of the Year one year, and that felt like a good achievement. But really, just being able to make a room full of people. If you could make a theatre full of 500 people all laugh and enjoy themselves, then that's as good as it gets achievement wise, really. Everything else is pats on the back and little ticks in the book, but really it's all about pulling it off as an entertainer. And so when I do that, I would say that's the achievement, really.
So how do you qualify to get into the Magic Circle then?
You first of all you fill in an application form, and then there is an interview and an audition. And so long as you pass the interview and the audition, then you become a member. I mean, if you're young, there is the Young Magicians Club, and people will quite often join the Young Magicians Club, which is run by the Magic Circle, and then will get themselves up to a level and then apply from there. But they still have to do an audition and be interviewed. But that helps a great deal because they can learn what's required from the inside, which is helpful.
Can you suggest a way for young people to cope during lockdown?
Oh, I don't know. I would say the biggest thing is if anything's worrying you or on your mind, talk to somebody about it. That's the biggest thing. Always, don't bottle anything up. Talk to somebody because things are always a lot better. Things are always a lot easier when you've talked to somebody. So make sure you've got a group of people around you who you trust. Who are genuine friends who are going to listen to you and have your back. And that's the main thing. And remember, it's not going to last forever. That's the other thing is it can seem like it's going to, but there is light at the end of the tunnel now for sure. And it looks like, with the vaccines and things, it looks like eventually we will get back to normal. So I think we're just getting over the hard bit now, and it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. And then I think, hopefully later this year we should be returning to some sort of normal, which will be good.
What have you been doing to cope during lockdown?
Well, just keeping myself busy, really. I'm quite fortunate that I don't get down very often. I'm quite buoyant most of the time. So I'm just trying to keep myself busy, learning new things, watching things, making my son cook nice meals for me. And just all the time trying to remember that it won't last forever. And talking, keeping in touch with all my friends. Every week I have a game of poker on Zoom with my friends, and we have a laugh at a Zoom meeting, and just trying to do things that keep me occupied.
What are you hoping to achieve or accomplish once we get back to some sort of normal?
I just want to get back to what I was doing before, really, because I was very happy where I was. Ambition-wise, I've sort of all the things I wanted to do. Most of the things on my bucket list, I've achieved, really. So I love doing what I do. So if I can get back to that position I was in of traveling around the country, traveling around the world, doing shows, then I'm happy with that. I don't have a desire to have my own TV show or anything else, really. I sort of bimble along, waiting to see what happens. If one came to me, I'd do it, but I'm not desperate for it.
And where were you? And how did you feel in March when you were told that your industry was going to be gone for a few months, a few weeks?
I was actually right in the middle of my first solo tour. So I was in the middle of a theatre tour, which had been booked all over the UK. So I was about halfway through that when suddenly, it was like, well, we're going to have to cancel them all. But it was a slow realization. But first you thought, oh, we're going to lock down for a few weeks, like you say. And then it was, oh, it's going to be a few months. And then people were saying, oh, well, it could be till the winter. And, of course, it's turned out that it's going to be, realistically, it's going to have been over a year by the time we get back. But it was quite, it was bad news, and it was a bit devastating, but I didn't let it get to me too much. I think, the government helped financially with things a little bit. And, I was fortunate that I was in the group that did get help. Some people didn't get as much help as they need, but I did. So, it was just sort of a realization that I was going to have to knuckle down and, have a year out.
How did you feel once you got the help from the government then?
That was good. Yeah. It was, it was obviously, things that worry you when you do the job for a living that suddenly stopped is, how am I going to pay the bills? So to know that you'd got some money coming in to help. Obviously it wasn't, it didn't cover everything, but I had other money laid aside that I could use. And also I've managed to earn a little bit with a few jobs throughout the year. So
is there a quote or a saying that you live by before you go on to stage and do your act?
Not particularly when I go on stage. I have a nice little, it's a Chinese saying, which I think is quite good, which is, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. And I quite like that phrase, because it sort of says, it doesn't do you any harm to help somebody else. But by helping somebody else, by doing this, for example, and helping other people become magicians, it won't do my career any harm. I'm not going to be any less good by helping other people become magicians. It's so that's the thing I try and live by. I don't always succeed, but I always try and think, don't worry about helping other people. It's not going to do you. It's not going to drag you down.
No, that is all the time we have today on DYW Newsscape with me, your host, Aidan. And I just want to give another big shout out, thank you to the wonderful, magical, and funny John Archer for giving up his time to give advice to Moray young people. You've been watching DYW Newsscape on the DYW YouTube channel with your host, Aidan. Thank you. Stay safe. Remember, hands, face and space if you're in England, but if you're in Scotland like me, remember facts. And remember, we are all in this together, and we will get back out there soon, and hopefully you can go and see John somewhere in the UK when he continues his solo tour.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much for doing that.